it's Heidi. I'm back. I do not know what the heck happened, but something was crashing on my screen. So I'm back. Hello. Just as I told you I would be, it is noon. And all week long, I'm coming in here to spend time with you and talk about the different types of codependency behaviors that we fall into. And why is this such an important conversation? If you are in a relationship of any kind, that causes you confusion, anxiety, resentment, fear, or pain, you are definitely in the right place because at the root of all of those emotions that are running the show is this problem of codependency and the sneaky way it shows up in our lives. And some of these traits are going to be surprising to us. I've come up with 8 different actual personality patterns, ways that this codependency shows up in our lives. Of course, if you want to know more about it, I am so excited for our upcoming workshop that we're having on December 6th, which is going to be a deep dive into these patterns. Like if you've decided this is going to be your year, this is the year that you finally have the relationships that you deserve, relationships where you're seen, you're valued, you're heard, you're not going to keep shrinking, you're not going to keep settling, struggling, and self-sacrificing. That's a lot of S's. Then you definitely want to make sure you sign up for that workshop on December 6th. Go over to lovecoachheidi.com and reserve your spot. Today, we are talking about the FIXER. Now, this is a personality pattern that's like, what's wrong with that? Because if you adopt the personality of the FIXER, likely you get a lot of esteem from it. You're the one that everybody goes to. You're the rock. You have caseloads instead of friendships. I want to talk to you about the way that this can be negative in your life and how it can show up and create a lot of resentment for you, a lot of pain for you, and how you can actually take the best parts of this personality and retain the good parts and actually leave all the rest. You know, a big part of the work that we get to do here is figuring out who the hell you really are. Because my theory is you're not who you really are. You're who you've needed to be. And that's what codependency is. It's like you're born into this family. And if it's not a great, good enough family, and they're dysfunctional or toxic or abusive or addicted or just unavailable or absent or fighting or sick or any number of things, we go, man, we survey the land and go, okay, well, who do I need to be in order to function in this dysfunction? Who do I need to be in order to survive, thrive, connect, or cope in this family? And we take on this personality. And a fixer is a personality that we take on. Some people call that the hero in the family, the peacekeeper, the glue, the glue. Ah, that's a good one. In fact, I remember the time that my dad told me I was the glue, and I had such pride. Like, that's right, I am the glue. You know, if you grew up in a family like mine where, you know, my dad was, man, oh my gosh, I'll give you one example. This will be pretty good indicator of how things usually were. It was total chaos and mayhem in the house. Siblings were running around. My dad stumbles in the front door, falls in the front door. He's bleeding about his head and he's got like bloody knuckles. He's bleeding. I think my stepmom's like in the kitchen praying in tongues over a boiling pot of potatoes, just like, you know, praying for Jesus to deliver my dad from the alcohol demons. And I'm just like, you know, sitting on this old brown corduroy couch, just like watching this like a movie screen go down. He stumbles in the front door. I look out. It was like an icy, snowy day. His car's gone. He had walked God knows how many miles in the freezing cold, but the liquor kept him warm, I guess. And immediately, without even thinking about it, I leapt up from my chair, went, got the first aid kit, starting assessing the damage, starting to make sure everybody else is okay, figuring out, making plans to figure out where the car is, to get in the car, go find the car. I'm already like 5 steps ahead. It's kind of like that old meme. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like a perfect example of this kind of how this fixer is. It's like you can function in the chaos. There's like a house burning down and there's a meme with like a kid on a swing set, just like, you know, but a fixer is not oblivious to what's going on. They think they can control it, fix it, help the situation. So that's really easy a role to dive into if you grew up in an alcoholic home, right? Or if you had an addicted parent where you were the caretaker in that family. Maybe you were the oldest sibling and you were like feeding all the other siblings their breakfast or making yourself breakfast or taking care of everything all the time. Or you grew up when there was sickness in the household a lot. And so you were like a little adult. The fixer starts off as like a little kid, like the 9-year-old going on 40. Okay. December 6th is your birthday. Malibu, how are you? So good to see you. Oh my gosh, you guys. I'm going to be reading your comments when I get to the end of this so that we can talk. Malibu, I'd love to have you in that workshop, honey. It'd be so great to see you in there. Go over to lovecoachheidi.com and sign up for it. It'd be great to have you, honey. It'd be amazing. So the fixer, there are actually 5 core traits that when we have this personality, we demonstrate. And you'll know that I'm calling you, I'm singing your song if you can resonate with one of these 5 things that are going on. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about how to work your way out of this pattern and what we need to do in order to rectify our inner fixer. Because I'm going to tell you something. If you keep attracting people over and over again that are wounded, broken, injured little birds in the backyard, and you're feeding them and nursing them back to life, and it's not working for you, okay, because they never really get fixed. They're not taking your advice. They're not doing the things you know they need to be doing. And all your hard work is for naught and for nothing. And you keep on being the rock, but when you look around, there's crickets, there's nobody there for you, then you're in the right place today. Now, every day we're talking about 1 to 2 different types of personalities. And again, when you sign up for the workshop, you're going to learn your unique attachment personality pattern and how to break free. Now, I want to tell you, these are just patterns. These are not pathology. I don't work like a psychologist where I'm like, diagnosing you, your borderline personality, you're narcissistic, I'm saying, hey, you're acting in a way in your relationships and in your life that's destructive. That's a codependency pattern that you've adopted in order to survive that just stopped working for you. When you're a kid and you're a fixer and you're the glue, you need to be that person so bad things don't happen, right? If you grew up that way, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You knew that you had to make sure stuff was getting done. The oven was turned off at the end of the night. That you took the keys and hid them away from dad, or you made sure the siblings got off to school, or you had to be in charge and be a little adult, because if you weren't, bad things would happen. And so then you got the idea that you could control things, or that you were able to fix things because you could kind of hold things together. But now in your adult life, you're noticing you're attracting these people that you keep trying to fix and rectify, and it's not working. All right, let's get into these traits and you tell me which ones you can identify with. The first thing that qualifies you as a fixer, and you'll know this is you, is if you're an empath. What's an empath? You have a sixth sense. You know what people need even before they tell you. You walk into a room, you can read the energy. You know exactly what's happening all the time, what needs to be done. You have a really good sense of what other people need and how other people are feeling. You can read their energy. Now, again, this could be something that is just a God-given gift of yours, that you're an empath, or it could be a highly developed skill. When you grow up in dysfunction or abuse or toxicity, or just not firing on all cylinders, like I like to say, you have to predict things. I knew for me, I had to predict things. I had to get so good at reading little micro expressions and little maneuvers to predict the danger. How drunk is my dad? How bad is this going to get? Can he actually drive? Are we going to die today? Is my mom going to flip out? What's going to happen? I had to get really good at being like a people predictor. All right. And also, I think is like a talent, right? Like a God gift, like a gift that we all have, this ability to be an empath. But if you grew up in dysfunction, you've got the superpower 2.0. Now, is that a problem? No, I use it in my work all the time, right? I'm able to see what's going on with clients before they even tell me. I'm able to read their energy. I have a sense of knowing. A lot of my clients say, like, you're able to tell me what's going on with me and I don't even know. It's pretty unbelievable. But when is it a problem? It's a problem when you get sucked from all the time. Like you walk in and you don't know how to energetically protect yourself. So you're going into this space and you're an empath and you're sucking up everybody's energy and you take it on. That's when your superpower becomes your kryptonite and it becomes codependency. And then when you're an empath and you're feeling other people's emotions, right? And you're a fixer. So that you wake up in the morning and you're laying next to somebody who you feel their energy. And if they're in a bad mood, you don't know how not to take it on. If a parent or a sibling or a child or a spouse comes in the room and they're energetically down, you don't know how to stay up because you absorb their energy. And that's where this empathic nature becomes a liability and it moves into straight up codependence. Codependency is like, I can't be who I am when you're not agreeing and lining up, and I feel how you feel. You don't need to feel how people feel. You can recognize, but you don't have to crawl down in the hole with them, right? So that's a big, big difference. All right. So that's the first thing. So if you're identifying already, you're like, tick, yep, Heidi, we got number one. Okay. Number two is you might be a fixer if you have a compulsion to help even when you're not asked. So like you might insert yourself to help people when there's not really, they didn't really ask you to fix things, but you can't even help it. You just know what needs to be done. So you just like dive right in and take over. And all of a sudden you're inserting yourself into people's business. I know for me, before I reined this in, I would be around people at the gym even, and they would start having conversations, or at a restaurant. And I'd be like, oh God, I'd want to be like, hey, here's what you need to do. I just want to insert myself. And they're like, can I just eat my soup? Yeah, I'm just eating my soup, and I'd be like, but here's what you need to do, and they're like, fuck you. I'm sure it was really annoying. And it can be when it's unwarranted and unasked for, and you find that like you have this compulsion to insert yourself. That's like a fixer going awry. That's when it crosses into this codependency. Core trait number 3. This is a big one. Okay. Fixers need to be needed in order to have a relationship. There's this sense that if you're not doing something for the people that you love, that you haven't quite earned your keep. So you always feel like, you know what, if I solve that problem for them, if I fix this issue they're having, if I run to their rescue, if I put on my Wonder Woman cuffs and my Supergirl cape or my Batman attire and I run to the rescue, then they're going to love me. They're never going to leave me. I'm going to endear myself to them. And that's what a fixer's aim is. It's not like you're just giving to give. You're giving because you actually want to endear yourself to somebody. You kind of want to make yourself indispensable. Fixers and pleasers go hand in hand. They take on more than they want to because they feel like if I do that, I'll be indispensable to you. What if you had nothing to prove? What if you didn't have to earn your value? Would you still be doing everything you're doing if you had nothing to prove? If you felt worthy without your constant acts of service, would you still be doing the things you're doing? That's a really good question for a fixer to ask herself or himself. Okay. Core trait number 4, you're giving all the advice. You're doling it out. You know exactly what needs to be done. You're telling people what to do. And by God, they don't do it. What happens? You get really, really resentful. You try and you try and you keep running to the rescue and you keep fixing problems and you keep taking care of everybody. And you know what? They keep fucking it up and you get full of rage. Now, at this point, you could double down. You could try even harder with that person. But sometimes this is where a fixer will just give up that project and find a new one. They'll be like, that boyfriend just wasn't getting it. That person just wasn't getting through to them. Let me find another one. But you find this one's just as broken as the last one. Because why? Fixers need broken people. A fixer can't be in a relationship with somebody who's happy, healthy, and whole. They've got nothing to do. What are you going to do if somebody comes in whole and happy? You're not going to know if you're loved, because if you're not fixing, you don't know if you're loved. If you're not helping them, if you're not endearing yourself and giving of yourself and running to the rescue, Superman without his cape was just Clark Kent. And he struggled to find his own value too, didn't he? I mean, he didn't really know. He was like the nerdy guy until he put the cape on, and all of a sudden he's somebody. I mean, I think that our society instills this in us a little bit too. Like, oh, you're not a value unless you're a hero, in some way, shape, or form. But you can be the hero of your own life. Clark Kent could have been very happy. I think he was sexy as hell in his little glasses anyway, right? Look cute as whatever. Just sit and watch a movie and relax. He didn't need to be flying around the neighborhood. Amen. Okay. So you become resentful when people don't take your advice. I want to make sure that I'm reading this. Now, you would think because I wrote the book that I would know everything I'm going to say, but I don't always. So if you want this book that I'm reading from, my book is Attachment Personality Patterns. The Fixer is in there. You can get it for free at lovecoachheidi.com and you can download it. Okay. So fixers become resentful. Now, core trait 1, you're an empath. All right. Tick, tick, tick. Core trait 2, you insert yourself into people's problems, even when they don't ask you to do, and you just have a compulsion to fix everybody in your life. Core trait number 3, you need to be needed to have a relationship. Core trait number 4, you become resentful when people do not follow that advice. And core trait number 5, you are the shoemaker without the shoes, meaning Your needs go completely unmet and unrecognized when you are hyper-focused and hyper-vigilant about other people's needs. And sometimes fixers can be so codependent in this area that they do not even recognize their own problems. A little bit of perfectionism sneaks in there and they project all their issues onto somebody else. No, you're the one with the problems. Let me hyper focus on you, and then I don't have to worry about me. Now, here are some of the core things. What is at the root of the fixer? I'm worried I'm unlovable unless I'm doing something to serve you or to help you. I do not know my value outside of my doing. I don't know any value just being. I know value by doing. I also get my self-esteem from solving other people's problems. I feel pretty good about myself when I have the right answer or I know how to fix you. And I believe I must earn my keep. Now, is this resonating? Let's take a look and let's see. Yep, 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 yep. Malibu says, yep. Sunshine says, hi, Heidi. Happy to listen to your podcast. You're so motivating. Thank you very much for helping codependents like us, like me. Yes, amazing. Thank you. I'm grateful to do it. I love you, Heidi Rain. You're so intelligent. I needed to hear it, but baby is crying. Okay, baby, get the baby. Love you. Thank you. Powerful stuff, Heidi Rain. Thank you so much for, hey, raining on me today. Girl, have I had lipstick on my chin this entire time? I probably have. That's okay. Thank God we're not here for my looks. All right. Anyway, what's the way out of this is we've got to first recognize that we're codependent. Because if you're a fixer and you have a lot of self-esteem in this area, you might not see it as a codependency issue. It will only become an issue for you when your feelings start to indicate you're in trouble. Like you have a lot of resentment, you have a lot of hostility that's pent up against the people that you're trying to help that continually don't take your advice. You notice the unbalancedness of your relationships where you are the giver and that requires a taker. You notice that you're passive aggressive even sometimes, where maybe somebody's not taking your advice and then you don't want to outright do the confrontation, but you'll find another way to just ghost that person or disappear. But you notice that you keep attracting broken people on and on and on. And so you notice that everybody, that if you look around you, this is a really good way to know. If you look around you at your friendships and your relationships, are you the one that has it the most together? Are you the one that's like good and everybody else is like, yep, I got a person in active addiction here. I've got a person who's falling apart over there. I've got this person who's narcissist but doesn't know it. I've got this person that needs to heal. If you've got a collection of wounded birds around you and you're the one that's like with it, that's a problem. Not because you're not amazing, but you need people that are held you to a higher standard. You don't, if you're the smart, like the old saying goes, if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to get a new room, right? If you're the highest functioning person in your room, you need to get a new room because you're never going to grow. You're always going to be having an illusion of your own growth because you're always with people who are worse off than you. And that's a way not to look at our own problems. I used to do it too. I understand that in my relationships, I didn't know my value. Outside, it looks like, yeah, maybe I can, look successful, but inside I had this constant struggle of my own worth and value. And I had an inner critic that would tell me lies like, you're not really lovable. Who do you think you are? When people find out who you are, they're not going to want to be with you. So you better endear yourself. That was my motivating factor. So when I would get in relationships, I would find the boyfriend who would start off as the friend who I would talk to about his ex-girlfriend. That was my in. My in was like, well, let me help you heal from your last relationship and then you'll love me. So then you'll want to be with me because you'll see my value. Not that I just came in with value just because I was being myself. I didn't feel that I had any value outside of what I was doing. I just didn't know. I just felt worthless on the inside, even though the outside looked like I had it all together. My relationships told another story. And if you really want to know how you feel about yourself, look at the people who you're surrounded by. What are they reflecting back to you? If they're treating you unkindly, unfairly, if they're hurting you, if they cause you resentment or anxiety or pain, that's an inner reflection. That's an outer reflection of the inner turmoil that you're experiencing. and you're projecting it onto other people. I know that's a mouthful. Okay. I want to encourage you to just begin the healing process. And awareness is that first step. But how do you take the next step? What do you really do? How did I start to unravel this behavior? Because I still help people. I still retain the good parts of that fixer that are in my spirit and that I have a longing to serve people and a desire to help people. But now I get paid for it. Now I do it for a living and I don't do it in my personal life anymore. In my personal life, I have mutually beneficial, respectful relationships where we nourish each other and give to each other. And in my working relationships, that's also not codependent, that's interdependent, right? There's a fee that comes in and a blessing that goes out. There's a fee that comes in and an intellectual property that comes out. There's a fee that comes in and a healing that comes out. And so we're in exchange. If you're a fixer, you're just doing this shit with no return. You're just pouring your heart out and there's nothing coming back in. And how do I know? Because you feel empty. You feel depleted. That's when you know you're overgiving. You feel depleted. You feel empty. You feel like people are just sucking from you and you give and you give and you give and you've got nothing left for you or nobody's there for you. And that's codependent. So the healing journey is unraveling this lie, these root lies that we believe about ourselves that propel us into this behavior. In my workshop, you're going to learn your root lie, what it is, and the behaviors you specifically engage in when you believe that lie, and then how to undo that program one step at a time. Patterns are meant to be broken. Patterns can be broken at any time, but you can't break what you don't know is there. You can't change what you don't know is happening. And so that awareness is that first step. And that's what I like to do with these free videos is come on here and show you reflect back to you, okay, maybe I'm operating in this fixer pattern. And then again, what to do about it is to take some massive action, participate in your own healing and seize the opportunities when they present themselves to you, like this workshop that's coming up on the 6th of December. I'll be back tomorrow. Tell me what personality you want me to talk about. We have the controller, we have the victim. Before I go, I want to tell you who the fixer attracts. I already mentioned broken people, but typically a fixer loves somebody with a good problem they can sink their teeth into, like active in addiction. You'll find a lot of fixers and addicts, but addicts act out of a victim mentality. So we have the victim personality. Just a little information for you. Victims are addicts when they're active addicts, alcoholics, narcissists, things like that act out of the victim. And who does a hero need? Well, a hero needs a victim. A hero cannot operate unless somebody is in distress and says, I can't save myself. You fix me. You save me. It's a fixer's best dream. Ooh, dun, da, da, da. But you see, we don't really fix anybody, do we? When somebody wants to change and somebody wants to do that work, it's an inside job. And that's hard for a fixer to realize. It's like, we don't really do anything. We might hold the space. We might give the inspiration or the encouragement or the share the wisdom, but ultimately it's you who decide to make the change. It's they who decide to get their lives together. Nothing that we do is really the magic. It's what they just do inside that turns it all around. And so it's true with you. I can give you the wisdom, but if you don't act on it, if you don't seize the opportunity, nothing really changes, right? All right. I love you so much. Thank you. Numan says, hello, Heidi. You're doing a great job. Totally relate to your points. Spot on. Amen. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. Thank you so much. I love you guys. I want you to take excellent care of yourself. And part of that self-care is taking the leap, making an investment in yourself and getting the support you need to come alongside. A lot of you are lone rangers. You seek all the information, but you just want to try to piece it together by yourself. But, relational healing, meaning healing in community, healing with a compassionate witness, a group of people or somebody else that you can really trust is really the first step to releasing all of that toxic shame and all of the other shrapnel that we have from these relationships that are succubus or toxic or dysfunctional. Okay. Love you so much. Have an excellent day. I'll see you tomorrow at noon Eastern.